Right, here we are once again on Cricbuzz Chatter. It's the end of day 4 of this test match in Chennai. It's still alive. Increasingly, matches are going into the 5th day, which is wonderful. Post-COVID test matches are lasting a lot longer and are providing for pretty dramatic last days, as Pakistan and South Africa discovered, as West Indies and Bangladesh discovered. And this is where we are. It was 257 for 6 from 74 overs at the end of day 3. India carried on to 337. Washington Sundar was excellent with 85. And then England batted 46 overs before they were eventually bowled out. No declaration, 178. And then Jack Leach curled one past Rohit Sharma's outside edge to leave India 39 for 1. But right at the bottom, the two numbers, 381 to get 90 overs, 9 wickets. Those are the numbers to play with on the last day. As we say, very good evening or good afternoon to where he is, to one of England's finest cricket captains, Michael Vaughan, who normally understands the game of cricket pretty well, but I've been following him on Twitter. He's a little perplexed.
Yeah, it's been such a good test match for England that they've played 3 days brilliantly, first 2 sessions on day 4 brilliantly. I've no idea what they had for tea. I don't know whether you guys over there have put something in that brew that triggered their minds.
A little sedative, Michael, a little sedative that just calms the brain a little.
Well, I think it made England quite negative because after we see Butler and Best came out and played in a more defensive fashion, that must have been directives of the team. I personally would have wanted at least 115, 120 overs. I think England had enough time to be able to give themselves enough room in terms of runs and also enough time to get the overs in. If you'd have said to Virat Kohli, Harsha, 2 days ago, from the way that India have played in terms of the position that they found themselves in, that you would arrive on day 5 with 9 wickets in the shed to see out the game, to try and get something out of this test match, he would have ripped your hand off. He couldn't believe his luck if he's arriving somewhere. I saw him at the end of play. He had his bat in his hand. He went straight away and had a few knocks in front of the England dressing room. And he quietly must have been looking over and thinking, thank you. Thank you for what you've given us, because I believe England really should have had India in a position of 3 or 4 wickets down tonight. I still think England are favourites because the pitch is doing plenty, but sometimes there are little things that you notice and see that triggers me into believing that England almost have started to play safe. For 3.5 days, they didn't play safe. And that little trigger might just give India a huge amount of belief and confidence. It's not going to be easy to bat out the last day, but I think the England team have given India a sniff.
Could it be that England was so worried about losing this game that they said, let's take all chances of an India win out? And sometimes when a team is playing only defensive survival cricket, you've got the best chance of getting them out. So are England thinking, oops, let's see what happened in Brisbane. Oh dear, what happened in Sydney? India saved that game. Oh, look what happened in Chattogram the other day. So look what happened the last time we played in Chennai. So let's take any India win out and force them to be on the defensive all day. We've got a better chance of getting them out.
Yeah, and that's the mindset that and the decision that Joe Root decided to go with. He wanted enough runs in the bank to say to India, realistically, I know Ishant Sharma said that they might go for them tomorrow. I don't see that that's going to be possible. So England are thinking, we've got enough runs in the bank. You can't win. All you can do is bat out for the draw. By batting on so long, again, the last 20 minutes, I was perplexed to see only a couple of fielders around the bat. Dominic Best bowling Ashwin, full of confidence from his wickets in the first innings. He's got a cover point on the boundary. A cover point on the boundary. I mean, I would say that fielder is as useful as many politicians around the world as we speak. Utterly useless. You're just not going to get any activity from a cover point on the boundary to an off-spin and ragging it square to a right-hander. So by batting on and batting long, it allows you to have more fielders around the bat. So hopefully tomorrow England will come out with more of an aggressive mindset. Don't worry about losing the game. They don't lose the game from here. India, if they win, we're probably going to see 2 of the greatest innings we've ever seen in Test match cricket history. I don't think it's possible, but India can certainly draw. Now, Joe Root then has to start thinking, right, how can I get into the minds of the Indian players? And I think by putting a few fielders in catching positions, and if the odd ball goes to the cover point boundary for 4, it's just a 4. You've got to get your fielders in the catching positions.
I mean, that's why you've given yourself 400 runs. But Michael, it's a long time since I've seen you as worked up as that. Maybe you should, just as soon as this program is over, just get yourself one of those fancy gins that you promote these days and that you enjoy. Just put a little extra ice in it and, and just sip it to wonder what happened. While you were talking, our producer quickly had that scorecard up there, and I look at that scorecard and I'm fascinated because I'm looking at one name in particular. I can understand Ben Stokes got out. He's giving himself 15 balls. Ben Stokes got out. I can understand that. Joe Root has played a fantastic little cameo, 40 of 32 balls. I thought Root is batting. I thought they're going to declare a little after tea time the way he was going about it. Maybe he was just trying to get Ashwin off track. I don't know what. Look at Josh Butler there. Butler is 24 of 40. If you're to nominate two players who take the game away from India, you nominate Ben Stokes and Josh Butler. Butler's 24 of 40, and then Dominic Bess comes out and says, I quite like the atmosphere here. I'll stay on for a little longer. So I couldn't understand that partnership. Butler especially, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, maybe he was told, just hang in there. But 120, I'm thinking India 3 down, but you're absolutely right. 90 overs on a last day pitch to take 9 wickets, you'd still back yourself. You saw the ball that Leach bowled to Rohit Sharma, for example. You could get a couple more of those.
Yeah, England are still favourites, but what it's given to the Indian team and that dressing room. Virat Kohli was saying to his team, we just need one big partnership. One big partnership on the last day. So if you have a 40-over partnership, which is possible, with the talent that India have in the dressing room, you would think it's going to be enough. If there's one big partnership, you think that chops out 40, 45 overs. The rest, can they survive 45 overs? That's going to be possible. So England, I think, will need early wickets. If India bat well in the first session, it might be that if India bat really well and they have a glimmer of hope of winning, it might be England's best chance because they might play a few reckless shots. But England have played so well. I know I've criticised this session, the last session, and rightfully so in my mind. I just don't think they played it to the right fashion. But they're still on top. And there's many ways of looking at it. I think at the start of the Test match, if you said to me England would be in this position, I'd have ripped your hands off. But from where they were a day or so ago, slightly disappointed that they're not a little bit further ahead in the game. They've just got to be really positive, really confident. Don't be too negative. Don't worry about the ball going to the boundary. What will definitely happen tomorrow is we'll see the odd tremendous shot. These batters are incredible. I will say this now, that Shubman Gill is going to be the next big thing. He certainly is going to be the next big thing in world cricket. He bats pure. Every time he takes stance, I just watch him and go, oh, he's just a lovely player to watch. The timing, the balance, just the subtle movement back into the ball on the back foot. He's not got a Test match 100 yet. He nearly got that Test match 100 in Brisbane. If he gets 100 tomorrow in these conditions and gets his team over the line, I think you're going to see something very, very special from Shubman Gill over the next few years. If not tomorrow, no question he's going to be the next big thing in Test cricket.
I'm just imagining myself in the shoes of a young man who's 16, 17 Test matches old. Could England's calculation have been built around what Rishabh Pant is likely to do? Because, you've been captain, I don't, so I'm going to put that to you. But I'm thinking, if I'm Rishabh Pant, then all England's calculation is built around me. You know what? I'm going to walk 2 inches high. I'm going to put my collar up and walk with the swagger, saying the entire plan on the 5th day revolves around me. So I hope that it wasn't only Rishabh Pant that the planning was about.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that in the equation. I think what you said before, I think England just nullifying India's chances of winning. I think that's what they wanted to achieve, to make sure that they are batting on the last day with a little bit of negative mentality of only one result possible from their perspective, which is the draw. I think they feel that India are a better team when they're being aggressive. I think they feel that they're harder to bowl to when they're dancing down and hitting it and trying to strike the ball, and not so good when they're prodding around the crease. And that's why I hope Joe Root looks at the field that he had set tonight and realises he can be a bit more aggressive around the bat. He can put more fielders catching around the bat. I also look at, by England batting on, you look at someone like Ravi Ashwin. He gets 6 for. And I always believe in the start of big series. If you can nullify one of the senior pros in the opposing team, do so. And England could have, declared a bit sooner. Ashwin might have had 3 for, 4 for, but he's not got a 5 for. So you take him into the next Test match with not having a 5 for. Now he's got a 6 for. So if he's got a 6 for and India get out of this Test match with a draw, this Indian side are going to be very, very hard to stop. It could be a bit like deja vu from 2016. It's a bit similar to that first Test match, actually, where England batted a bit too long, had India 6 wickets down. India got the draw, won the series 4-0. I'm a bit concerned that may happen again if India get out of this Test match with a draw.
And I'm thinking of his great rival, Nathan Lyon, sitting in Australia on 399 and saying, hang on, this guy's probably going to get to 400 quicker than me, given that they're not playing in South Africa. But let's go a little earlier. India managed to cut the lead a little bit because a young man batted beautifully. I mean, what Washington Sundar has been picked as a batsman who can bowl off spin. Was very early in the morning in England. But those that were up would have enjoyed watching Washington Sundar bat. Hardly put a foot wrong. Hit Jimmy Anderson back over his head for a 6, by the way. I mean, you've got to show some respect to age and what, 500-600 wickets. How many has Jimmy got? Now, more than Washington can count. Then Joe Root brings himself on. I couldn't understand that. He hit him for a 6 as well. But I thought young Washington showed that he's been better occupying the crease than some recent occupants in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, he's a real talent. We've seen him in the IPL, but now in Test match cricket, only in his second Test match, and already he's created impact with the bat in hand. He just looks like he's got lovely hands. He's got a nice awareness of how he's going to score his runs, got a good game plan, full of confidence. I hear that back in the day he used to open the batting for his junior team, so he knows how to play. I was surprised, actually, on the back of 85 not out, and being that he's an off-spinner as well, that Virat did turn to him sooner with the ball in hand. Because you know what these all-rounders are like. They get a few runs and they're confident and a little bit cocky, and it seems to transcend into their bowling. So I was surprised that they didn't throw him the ball a little bit sooner. Nadeem looks to be struggling. Looks like he's struggling with his action, not quite getting it consistently down the other end well enough. So I would just turn to the off-spinner. I mean, just got his team back into the contest with an 85 not out, and he dragged out that innings. I think if England had got rid of those 4 wickets inside the first 40 minutes, hour, we'd have seen a different approach from England and given them a lot more time to bowl India out. By him batting on pretty much till lunch, it's taken time out of the game, and it's now given India a great chance of getting something out of the contest.
Yeah, I mean, they really only needed 1. 9, 10, 11 didn't do too much, and you're spot on about Shahbaz Nadeem. I expected a lot more from someone who's played a lot of first-class cricket in India. You have to be really accurate as a spinner to do well in first-class cricket in India when people are scoring 200s, and all he had to do was accurate today. But down that bowling list as well, Michael, there's one other player who started back in 2008, and we're going to talk about him in the hot spot today. I mean, you've seen Ishant Sharma bowl for a while, and a lot of us, Michael, were really frustrated saying, look, this man's played 50, 60, 70 test matches, and he's averaging between 35 and 40 for a fast bowler. That's just not good enough. And then he gets a second win. Not that he had much of a first, but he got a second win. He's been extraordinary since. I mean, he's gone past 300 wickets today. Only 6 Indians have done that. Only what Kapil Dev and Zahir Khan among Indian fast bowlers have gone past 300. So that's a fantastic achievement to get there. But if you split it across say 5-year plans, he started 2008. You look up to 2014-15, he's taking wickets at 37. You look from 2015, he's taking wickets at 24. You look from 2018, I think he's taking wickets at under 20. Wow. What did you make of him?
Well, first and foremost, I have probably in the whole of the game, the utmost respect for any young Indian player that comes out their door and decides to be a fast bowler. I mean, how you decide to be a fast bowler in India on those wickets, the dusty pitches, knowing that you're not going to get as much bowling because the spinners pretty much do all the work. So a huge amount of respect for any young Indian person that decides they want to try and bowl quick on those wickets. He's just got better and better. I think experience, skill levels, the element of trying to bowl reverse swing, cutters, sharp bouncers. The one thing I say about Ishant Sharma, he just looks the kind of bowler that I would have loved to captain, because every time you throw in the ball, he just looks like he runs in. He just keeps pounding in. He's got those long legs, not as quite as long a hair as he used to have, but he's still got a little bit of a do on him. I just like his attitude. He just looks to me like he wants to be out there. He wants to be trying to change the course of the game. He looks like he's tactically got a real smart cricket brain on him, and he gives it everything, as you have to on those wickets. And it's a real lesson to everyone over there that you've got to put the yards in, you've got to work hard, and he's getting the reward. So he's at 300 now. I think he's going to play long enough to get to 400. He's that good a bowler because his experience and skill levels are just getting better and better all the time.
There's two or three things about Ishant Sharma, though. Two, three things happened. I think Virat Kohli's arrival might have spurred him on because Kohli likes to play with fast bowlers aggressively rather than just to hold one end up. And then there's Bumrah and Shami alongside him. So Ishant was in really good company. To some extent, maybe you've got to credit this current Indian coaching setup because a lot of the fast bowlers are doing really well. Talked about Bumrah, talked about Shami, Siraj has come through too. But there was one season too, and I'm not saying that's the only reason, when he didn't get picked for the IPL. And he went and played for Sussex in England. And Jason Gillespie tells the story of him landing up, puts his stuff into his apartment, and turns up at the Nets that evening wanting to bowl. And he said he just wanted to bowl, and they forged a friendship there. And I think he came back a different bowler, much like Zaheer Khan came back a different bowler, much like some England batsmen go back home after the IPL as different batsmen. I think this osmosis is working really well. So in my view, two or three things. One is that season in England, one is Virat Kohli's approach, and one is the current coaching setup that's doing really well with fast bowling.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he missed out on the IPL, I think that's a big trigger for him because you look at Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson, they were taken out of white ball cricket a few years ago, and they've become better and better test match bowlers because they've just got one skill level to think about, and that is test match cricket. And what does test match cricket generally make you want to do? Hit the top of off stump as many times as you possibly can. You look at Ishant Sharma, Stuart Broad, Jimmy Anderson, that's pretty much what they do on a consistent basis. They hit the pitch and they decide upon the length on the bounce of the wicket on that given week, and they try and pass the ball just over the top of off stump, and they change the length according to the pitches. And with that, they can bring in a bit of skill with the swing, the reverse swing, and every now and then, they've got the bouncer in the locker. So, all high-class test match bowlers, of which Ishant Sharma is in that category, they generally hit the top of off stump more than other bowlers, which gives them more opportunity of bowls, LBWs, caught behind.
Right, we've got yet another test match going into the fifth day. Who would have thought so many test matches around the world would start going into a fifth day? I know 36 happened recently, but we're still going into a fifth day. And so with Michael Vaughan, we're headed fast forward. Let me throw, Michael, the same numbers back to you as we started. 90 overs, 9 wickets, 380 runs. Which are the numbers that for you are most important going into the fifth day? Which of those three?
9 wickets.
As an Englishman, I played into your hands, didn't I? 90 overs, maybe.
So you've got to get 1 every 10 overs. I don't think it's going to be easy for the new batter. So it's not going to be easy for Shubman Gill and Pujara to start in the morning on this kind of surface. If they get in, obviously, it comes down to, can India get 1 or 2 players batting 40, 50 overs on their own? If they do, I think they get something out of the test match. It's the kind of wicket that you could easily see a team fall over. If you bowl really well on it, you could create opportunities quickly and see off a team. The 380 runs, I don't see that possible on the last day on this kind of surface. I think the Indian team have got a batting lineup that could chase that on a given last day, but not on this wicket. I just think there's too much there for the bowler and also for the seamers. We've seen reverse swing, we've seen the odd ball keep a little bit low. And as much as it'll all be about the spinners in terms of many conversations, I do think Jimmy Anderson, Jofra Archer and Ben Stokes will play a part tomorrow. I think the reverse swing is going to be very, very important. India will need a couple of heroes tomorrow to get out of this test match.
Yeah, I thought you might say that because Ishant and Bumrah looked a little threatening as well. A bit of pressure on Dom Bess and Jack Leach to win this game. I mean, they're probably growing up thinking one day I will get a track like this to bowl on, rather than both of us fighting for one spot back in Somerset. But with no disrespect to them, and every time someone says no disrespect, there's a bad line coming up. But it's not Monty and Swan. They're still work in progress. They're not yet Monty and Swan.
No, exactly. And that's why tomorrow is so important for the series. If England win tomorrow, they're going to compete and they've got a chance in the series. If they don't get out tomorrow with a win, it must mean that the spinners haven't bowled great. The seamers haven't been able to create opportunities, and India have batted very, very nicely. And I think we said 2 days ago, I don't think India will play as badly going forward as they have done this week. So England have to take this opportunity. They have to go 1-0 up. If they don't and India get out of it with a draw, actually my prediction of 3-0 might come to 4. As much as I changed it the other day, it might be that India just get so much confidence and belief from getting something out of a test match that really they shouldn't have done. And if you kind of look at the last day, if Leach and Best haven't bowled well enough to bowl India out on this kind of surface, it's going to be difficult for them in the remaining 3 games. So they have to bowl well. They have to create chances. England have to go 1-0 up. If we don't win tomorrow, it could be a long last 3 weeks.
It'll test India's defensive technique as well. The likes of Kohli, Rahane, little shot and runs. It'll test their defensive technique. My own view, I don't know if you agree, is India's best chance of saving it is concede no more than 2, ideally 1 wicket up to lunch, and going to tea at best 4 down. But having said that, that game in Chennai last time that India won after England made 477, England were no loss at lunch and 3 down at tea. Games, or 3 or 4 down at tea. Games can move very quickly in the last session because the lower order is not that used to playing on turning track. So India need to go into tea no more than 3 or 4 down, I suspect, to have a chance of saving this game. So we'll wait and see. Well, what's your sort of comparison table saying? 90-10, 80-20, 70-30, 60-40?
I've got England at 75%. England 75. The draw's 25%. I don't see the win for India. It's not even in my equation. I just don't think they can get that amount of runs.
I was going to go 80-20 actually. Now that you're saying 75-25, I can't be seen as anti-national. 70-30. I just changed that. I just changed that 70-30. But I'll tell you what, it's not always that you go into a last day so eager to know what's likely to happen, such an examination lying ahead for so many people, just the batsmen, the spinners, the fast bowlers. It's going to be a good day to watch. And as usual, Michael Vaughan and me will be together to analyze it at the end of the day on Cricbuzz Chatter. Michael, thank you for joining us. And get up early tomorrow. Get up early tomorrow. And all your frustration of today, go back with that gin and tonic and ice. Take care. Goodbye.